Welcome to the Knowledge for Men show. Your life will never be the same.
Your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development.
I want to die empty of regret. I want to die empty of my best work. We don't understand who we are. Instead, we're living out somebody else's narrative.
What one man can do, another man can do. If it's been done, it can be done again.
Being yourself and being your truest, most authentic self in every moment. If it scares you or makes you a little afraid, do it. Follow your heart and your gut.
The first stage, I think, is finding you, like finding out who I am today.
Stuff will not work. You will have things that fail. Success is when you're a happy, fulfilled person. How do you define success?
It's your life, and you are the creator of the movie script that is your life story.
Hey, if you wanted to ask me any questions about Knowledge for Men or any challenges you currently have and want me to help you break through, then check out my live weekly talks at kfmlive.com, where I share my biggest lessons learned about being the most powerful version of yourself and interact with the Knowledge for Men community live. To attend the next live event, go to kfmlive.com. Again, that's kfmlive.com. Hope to see you there and have a conversation with you. All right, guys, welcome to the show. I am here speaking after a 3-day event that I just put on here in San Diego with 60 brave men, and so my voice is a little shot, but I'm still going. The very next day, got an interview here with Babette Hughes, who is a 93-year-old novelist with her latest novel, Searching for Vivian, recently published, and she actually wrote her first 4 novels in her 80s. And so I'm really excited to learn this journey that she went on and really going into this idea here that it's never too late to accomplish your dreams. And Babette, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
All right. And Babette, we start off every show with some sort of saying or maybe even some sort of success quote that you've lived by or even a saying, something that's helped you on your journey. Share with us what you got and what that means to you.
Well, one of the things that I've learned that's been very important to me is that life comes at us in a whole bundle, the good, the bad, the disappointing, and even the tragedies. It's all of a piece. It's all of nothing. And I've learned that when we accept the whole bundle, we choose life. And when we choose life, it chooses us. Does that make sense to you?
I like that. Yeah. When we choose life, it chooses
you. Yes. And it involves being part of life and understanding that, for example, we learn from failures, which is against the common cultural messages. Failure is a fabulous tool for learning and growing. It's where wisdom lurks. And that's another one of my things that I've learned in my long life.
Yeah, I like that. And did you ever think that you would be a novelist? Did you ever think that you'd have 4 books out or 4+ books out? Was this something that you had aspired to do for so long but had put away? Was it kind of just this afterthought of, no, that's not something for me?
No, I think I always wanted to write. I remember when I was 10 years old, I wrote a story about a girl and her dog. But writing full time is a huge luxury. And it took me a while until I could, afford to have that kind of time that it takes. So it's been on and off and on and off. And that's why probably it took me until my 80s, which is, again, for me, and I think for most people, a good time of life, because that's when I had the time for what I always wanted to do and couldn't always afford to do it.
Was there ever any thought when you were in your 80s that, can I do this? Do I have this time, the energy? Who am I at this age to be writing novels? Who's going to listen to me? I'm just getting started in my 80s.
Well, that's what we're told to believe, and it just isn't true. I found that those years have really been the finest of my life because I had a little wisdom. I've been through a lot. I've learned some things. And then time opens up. And I think that's an option for everyone, for men as well. Yeah. Men have so many responsibilities and they live under so much pressure that those years can be the best.
Yeah. What makes it the best? Because we often think, I'm here 28 years old thinking, oh, I got to do all my best work now in my 20s, 30s, and 40s and 50s. What makes the older age actually a benefit?
Because we're out of the stressful years. You're young and you're right in them. But when many of us look back, we find those years to have been very hectic and very demanding. Those are the years of creating a family, creating a career, relationship problems, money problems. All that is past when you're older. You have an opportunity for a new life, for things that perhaps you've always wanted to do and couldn't, especially for men who have, as men, so many responsibilities with family and work.
And so, what advice do you have for the men and women listening who are in those hectic years, who are in the building a career, looking to start that family or currently have a family, and there's just so much going on and starting to feel some of that struggle?
Well, I don't know if especially men are aware of how much actual pressure that they live under with their family needs and responsibilities, their career demands, as we mentioned. And the idea is that just goes with being a man. But by being aware of this pressure, he can get more control over his life. He could ask himself as if acquiring that larger house or expensive car is worth the pressure, or staying with a job he hates, or mindlessly trying to keep up with the Joneses. It spoils his quality of life and really has nothing to do with being a man.
And what would you say does make a stronger man in your experience of 93 years old?
Well, I'll tell you right now, as you well know, women have new roles that have totally revolutionized
Right.
marriage.
Absolutely, yeah.
And there's an entirely different idea of what it's like to be a man. There's a new masculine role model. And, a lot of guys have no preparation for that because their fathers were not good role models for the times that they live in now, if you follow me.
I am following, yeah. So women are actually, based on this study that I was looking at, more women are going to college than men. Not that there's anything wrong with that. That's absolutely fine. But it's just shifting where women are actually making, in some cases, equal or more money than the man. And previously, if we were to go back 50 years ago, I think that would have been completely upside down.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So there is now a new kind of masculinity, and it can really benefit men as much or more as women because it does reduce pressure on them. Now women are expecting men to help with the children and the household and so on, and that releases men again from their old tough role models, which are tough, really.
Yeah. And so I'm curious to know, like, with the man, it's like a blur between masculine and feminine gender roles. Where can the man then shine as a stronger man for that woman if he is not providing, which I believe 50 years ago was a main component in that relationship, but now the woman can equally provide for herself. So what is that woman wanting from that man?
I think what I'm hearing is that this new role model, this new idea of a man has left many men confused.
Correct.
Because again, it's a new way to think about themselves and their role in the world. Sometimes their wives do make more than they do, and then men would have that kind of frustration, competition and feeling lesser than and all of that. But again, I think on balance that this is a better time to be a man than it was in their fathers and grandfathers' time. And it's new, and I think it takes adjusting and help from our culture, which they don't get. Do you think they do?
There was a small cut out there, but if you're asking, do I think that there is help for men? I think it is available, but I think most men first need to become conscious that there is a challenge that exists before they'll even reach out.
Absolutely, that's well said. And also, our culture doesn't help the men with this new role. It's confusing, and it's confusing the men, and it'll take time. Look, every life, every relationship has problems because that's what it's like to be human. And to the extent that we are conscious, and aware of what's going on, I think is the extent to which we can adjust and benefit and get good out of it. Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a new masculine role here that can be a fulfilling role. But first, he's got to understand that the old model is not going to work today. If he's trying to fulfill that older role model, it could be more challenging.
Yeah, because it's probably just the first or second generation of this new person, and that's pretty new. But it's moving, I think, in a very good direction for the family.
Yeah, really good talk and discussion on just the different gender roles and how it's shaped in the last, let's say, the last century or so. And I always like talking to someone who's older and wise and has been through quite a lot, just by a matter of age. And so at your age, I'm sure you have noticed close friends, family, and people that you have known have begun to pass, which is a tough topic to go into, if we may. I'm curious to know about some of the conversations you may have had with some of these people, like regrets or things that they wish they would have done or things along that nature.
You mean as they look back on their lives?
Correct.
They have things that they wish they hadn't done or had done differently? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
I think that's inevitable in everybody's life, don't you?
I think so too.
I mean, how do you escape? We're not born knowing anything. And it takes that's again about aging. It takes a long time for most of us to get some wisdom. It takes failure, it takes trial, it takes mistakes. And again, later years, you can benefit from all that, right?
Right. Any discussion around people wishing that maybe they hadn't worked so hard or that they had spent more time with their kids or family versus, like you shared earlier, trying to make more money to buy a house to fill it with the people that they care about?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course. I think by accepting those kinds of mistakes and wishes that we didn't fulfill, I think that's, again, it's part of being alive. It's part of being human. And instead of regretting, we can learn from them and we can benefit from them and we can have, again, the kind of later years that are the best. I think that, we're taught to fear old age.
Right, we are. I think so, yeah. Due to being less physical, yeah.
And so that fear is so powerful that it affects how we live those years. So we have to be aware, we have to be conscious, we have to make our own choices and not listen to the culture because the culture is lying. Trust me.
What do you mean by that? The culture is lying?
Because it's a lie to tell our people to fear old age. It's a lie. There's nothing to fear. Like Roosevelt said, there's nothing to fear except fear itself. Fear is very powerful. It's a very powerful negative.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, it's true that I'm 93, and it's true that it's unusual, but I don't think it has to be as unusual as it is. I don't think I'm that unusual. It's just that I've been able to disregard what we're told.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking at, it's something I visit. It's an article that had went viral many years ago, but it's called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. One of them being, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others
I love
expected
that.
of me. Yeah.
That's so well said. I love that. And again, it doesn't come automatically. It takes time. It takes mistakes. It takes effort. It takes becoming conscious. But it's a goal that I don't think is generally appreciated. Don't you?
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right that it does take time. And I think we can put a lot of pressure on ourselves to try and do that. But I think the time component is essential in understanding who you are so that you can live a life true to yourself. Another one is I wish I had the courage to express my feelings.
Well, that's a well-known wish for men by women, right?
Right.
That they are more comfortable with their feelings of sadness or regret or any of that. And that's one of the differences between men and women. But we're not helpless to all of these knowns. We have choices, and we have the opportunity to act on those choices. But it takes some thinking, but it's worth it. It's worth it because it expands the quality of lives. Yeah. I believe that. Yes.
Yeah, it does. It does. The last one on the list is I wish I had to just let myself be happy.
Oh, wow. That's another good one. And that, I think that goes back to pressure.
Right. Kind of we're in this kind of warrior years in the 20s, 30s, 40s.
Yes. Enormous pressure. And I believe it's a particular masculine kind of pressure.
Yes.
That women have other problems and other kinds of needs, but not that the way that men have. They are responsible for so much, and it's hard. It's lots and lots of pressure, but it doesn't have to take over a man's life if he would just become aware that this is pressure and that he can deal with it. Again, as we spoke earlier, he can choose not to have, the bigger house or stay in a job he hates. He doesn't have to.
Yeah, or even the relationship that's not serving either of them.
Exactly, or the relationship, or mindlessly trying to keep up with the Joneses. The guy next door has a bigger car and the pressure kicks in to get a bigger car.
Right. Yeah. It's like a feeling of I'm not enough here. Like he's more than me and I need to.
Yes.
It's almost like a painful feeling. I'm kind of,
Yes. And it's sort of a knee-jerk feeling. It's not a thoughtful feeling. Because a thoughtful, aware feeling would be, I like my car. I don't need the pressure.
Yeah. This is, a really deep discussion going into, just this is some general life advice on how to really live a life that's true to yourself and be happy in the now. And I really like, and what I'm getting from you is it's just never too late and that there really isn't a time in your life that's better than the other.
Well, and again, that the things we've been talking about don't automatically happen. They take time, which is another way of understanding that it's never too late. Turn it around. Being late is a positive, not a negative, because again, to have the best quality of life, to have a chance at happiness, to relieve yourself of this tough pressure, can have the years that we're talking about to enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah. as you're talking, I'm just thinking, because I myself am doing a lot right now with my, just in work and relationships, just my social life. There's a lot going on, and we're just talking about that pressure. And when you're saying, just to enjoy your life, there's almost a form of resistance, I feel like, for men to enjoy their life versus build their life.
I think
it's like we're like, we want to build, like we want to construct, but during that journey we can often forget to, the cliche phrase, like smell the flowers.
Yes, it's a cliche because it's true. And I think what you're talking about is being enlightened. That by being enlightened, that you have an opportunity to think through the things that are otherwise just knee-jerk, that are thoughtless, and that you pay a price for those.
Yeah, this has been really good. And now, Babette, if we can go into what I call the knowledge round, just going to ask you a few rapid fire questions here. So, Babette, are you ready for the knowledge round?
Whatever that is, I guess.
Yeah. If you're tired of living the mundane day-to-day and just the daily grind and want to experience more joy and fulfillment in your life, then check out my live weekly talks and open Q&A with the community, where I share my biggest insights on becoming the most powerful version of yourself to rise above mediocrity and create the life you desire. Register for the next upcoming event at kfmlive.com. Again, that's kfmlive.com. And hurry up before all the spots are taken. Hope to see you there. Welcome to the Knowledge Round, where the guests will be asked rapid-fire questions to give the audience invaluable pieces of wisdom to help transform their lives. Starting in 3, 2, 1, showtime. All right, so the first question I have for you, Babette, is what advice would you give to someone who's feeling really lost or unsure of their purpose?
Oh, wow. That's a good one. Well, I believe in therapy. A good therapist helps that kind of dilemma, because it seems to me that it would be a serious problem to feel lost. Don't you?
Yeah.
And therapy now is generally accepted. It didn't used to be. People used to think you were crazy if you went to therapy, but not anymore. And I find that it helped me enormously in my life. It's helped people that I know, have had therapy. It's helped them. And this is what I would recommend.
Yeah.
Some things being lost is so difficult that it's too hard to do by yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. What I'm getting from that is, you can't do it alone. It could be therapists, it could be, but just reaching out for support, even a close friend or someone who will take the time to listen and support. But yeah, you can't do it alone.
Can't do that.
Life is challenging. So let's see here. This one's more of a scenario. So if you could envision where you were, 25-year-old Babette, what she was up to, what she was doing professionally in her relationship, stuff like that. What advice would you give to her if you had 60 seconds with 25-year-old Babette? What would you tell her to do? What would you tell her not to do?
I would tell her to get out of that miserable marriage.
That's usually where most people start.
You're kidding me. Oh my gosh. No, that was me, very unhappily married, the mother of 3 children, and feeling totally stuck. And I could not get out of the marriage alone, which is when I went into therapy, and it helped me. It helped me.
Anything else?
What else? I went to college. Because I'd had a kind of a soap opera-ish life. My mother pulled me out of high school in the 12th grade to be a model. So I was a high school dropout and very ashamed of that. And then I married very young and had children very young. And when I was in therapy, I had the courage to go to college. And I did. And that changed my life. It changed my life. It was when I had the confidence to write. I took a course in creative writing, and a piece I wrote in the class got published in the Saturday Review. I don't know if you're probably too young to know that magazine, but it was a very prestigious literary magazine, and they published it, and that changed my life.
Yeah.
So yeah, the choices you make can change your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, our decisions are shaping our destiny. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
And what would you say, even if you have to reflect on some of your things you've already shared, what would you say is your philosophy on life and success?
Again, the idea of growth, of not listening to the culture, of searching for yourself and your own choices that are correct for you, not for your, mother-in-law and not for your father. And the search is the search for self. And that would be my hope.
Yeah, I like that, letting that sink in. And now that'll conclude the knowledge round there. What's exciting you today, Babette? What's getting you out of bed in the morning?
Oh, I love to write, Andrew. I love to write. I'll tell you, my characters don't care how old I am.
Yeah, they're judgment free.
Yeah. And it's so exhilarating to me. It's so, I'm glad you asked me, because that's one of the things we haven't talked about. I find that creative work is something that makes people feel good. They don't have to be writers or painters or musicians, but making something that wasn't there before somehow works in the mind and the body in a wonderful way. I mean, I just love writing, and I love getting up and seeing what my characters are going to tell me, what they're going to do.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's very hard, but it's very stimulating. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm getting that when you have this thing that you really care about, that you're really connected to, it brings you almost to life, and it really gets you excited, and you're really looking forward to that.
Yes, because, we've been talking about problems, and everyone alive has problems, but this creative work is problem free. There are no problems except the problems of making your characters come alive on the page, but that's doable. That's not overwhelming. It's fun.
Yeah, I like that, and it's good. It's good hearing about where it's taking you. I feel like it's really it's keeping you moving forward, just like having something that you do that you really enjoy. And I think for everyone, it does, regardless of age, it's like when you do something that you are really passionate about, it brings you to life as well.
And that goes back to knowing yourself.
Correct.
Knowing what everyone doesn't like the same things. You have to know who you are, and that'll tell you what you like. And that's a noble search.
Yeah. All right, Babette. That's going to conclude the interview here. For all the listeners, you can follow up with Babette Hughes books. If you just go to Amazon.com, you can type in Babette Hughes, and you can see all of her books here on Amazon. And her most recent book is Searching for Vivian, which pops right up on Amazon. Babette, thank you so much for sharing your story and life lessons here with my community.
You're so welcome. It was a pleasure talking to you, Andrew.
Thank you for listening to the Knowledge for Men podcast. Hundreds of interviews and millions of downloads later, we're continuing to build an international movement, and we're just getting started. So if you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and leave a helpful review in iTunes, because it really helps the podcast grow so we can impact even more men in the world who need this. Guys, this is all about living with purpose, where every day you only do things that matter to you. You wake up, live with purpose, and take massive action towards the life you want. And always remember, love the life you have while creating the life of your dreams. Go to kfmfree.com to get a surprise bonus I've made for my listeners. Again, that's kfmfree.com for something that's changed my life, and I'm offering it to you for free. Also, check out my Amazon best-selling books that I've written for you to help you crush life at kfmauthor.com. Again, that's kfmauthor.com to see all the books I've created to help you break through in life. This is your host, Andrew Farabee, founder of KnowledgeForMen.com, and I'll see you in the next episode.